This magic line of code is going to simplify camp grouping or any sort of grouping where you've got to get a bunch of people into certain groups with preferences and all that. How does it work? So I've got a class list here. I've just got 9 for simplicity's sake, but it works with 90, it works with 900. What it does is there's drop downs so they can find their names. And once they've been chosen, they get taken off the list so they can't be chosen again. You can't find Mattias again, but you'll be able to find all the other students in the class list. What that does is, it's especially useful if you're someone who wants to get student input into grouping. You want students to be with their friends and whatnot. You can send this to them, let them edit it, and give them the structure of having 6 seats in each group and X number of groups. And then they'll be able to work that out and fill up the 6 seats. You can also clearly see who hasn't been grouped at the end, so you can put them into groups as well. If you are sharing it with your students, I would suggest hiding the data sheet so that they don't muck around with that back end of things. But let's have a look into this magic line of code. I'm going to go through it by typing it out and explaining each section of the code. So first of all, it's a filter. It's only going to show up the results of students who haven't been picked, because that's what we want, yeah? So how does this work? First thing with a filter is you got to tell it to look for the data. You got to tell it to look for the full list so that it can compare the full list with the list of students who have been picked. So we're going to choose that. Every time you deal with a set of data, I'm going to suggest leaving out the last row so that it's just starting cell A2, semicolon A. What that does is it's going to continue all the way down so that even if you've got a list of 200 students in your year group or whatever, it's still going to work just as well as if there were 9 students. All right, so we've told it to filter from this set. Now, the next command after comma is not. The not tells it to list out students who are not chosen. Okay, next you got to go count if. Count if is telling the computer to compare this list with this list. So now after count if and open bracket, you're going to tell the computer to look for this full set of groups and look for students who have been chosen. If you've got 3 groups, you might just decide to choose 3. If you've got 6 groups and so on, you might decide to choose all of it. But as we said, an open last column is helpful because then it can go all the way down and select all of it. All right. Finally, you're going to go comma and go back to the first list because you're telling it to compare to this list. Once again, open range at the end. Close all the brackets and enter, and you're going to have a list which shows up with those who are not grouped. I'm just going to quickly select the same line of code and show you what happens if you delete the word not. If you delete the word not, you're going to have a list of students who have been chosen. So all the students who have been grouped are here. All the students who haven't been grouped are here. All right, the final thing I want to go through is data validation. How did we come up with these drop-down boxes? Because they're really helpful, especially for making sure students aren't spelling the names wrong. I use these as email addresses. So often instead of having names, I've got full email addresses. So if I have to email group 1, I just select all that and chuck it into my emailing app. All right, so how would you do that? Go to data and validation. And what you want to do is add a rule so that this dropdown can only be from this various data range. We're going to select these, including a blank, because there will be times when you need a blank there. Once again, open range so that it goes all the way down if you've got a large one, and done. What that does is, over here, this cell will only show up with results which are of the ungrouped students. You can likewise blank that out because we've had blank as one of them, and you can copy this using Control-C, Control-V if you want extra cells. You can just copy blank cells if you need more students or more seats in each group. And likewise, you can add extra groups or lessen the groups by deleting those columns and so on. So this is going to be really useful, hopefully, when you are grouping students for camps, for conferences, for whatever. Enjoy it!